What are the risks of settlement failure to hedge funds?
There are really two dimensions to settlement risk for hedge funds. One is in terms of the trades that a hedge fund will do in the marketplace, equities, fixed income, etc. And the second side of it is the investment into or out of a hedge fund and the settlement risk associated with that. So there's those two dimensions. The traditional investment into the marketplace, as for any investment into the marketplace, if there isn't adequate statutory processing and the process is well managed and well controlled, you will have a risk of settlement failure, which results in both operating costs, because repairing settlement fails is expensive, and you have an exposure risk in terms of a mismatched position and the market moves. So you've got that risk on the traditional market side. On the investor side into hedge funds, and that's hedge funds, fund of funds, etc. Typically, they settle on a 30-day cycle. If you get that cycle wrong, if you get the instruction wrong in terms of moving in, out, or adjusting your holding in a hedge fund, then you have a 30-day exposure to potential movements in the marketplace. So again, very important that that is an accurate and reliable process.
How does the use of standardized messaging reduce the risk of settlement fails?
In general, the use of standardized messaging, which is across the entire industry, which is one of the core missions for SWIFT, is to make sure that we bring STP to the marketplace. And STP demands that you have a set of market rules that everybody follows. So the interpretation of a data field is consistent. That is one of the simplest, if you like, but most common causes of errors, different interpretations of what does a field require. So STP standardization from messages really does bring a lot of efficiency gains. So one is that. The cost of fails is high, as I've mentioned already. So one is efficiency gains, and the second thing is minimizing your exposure to then market movements by having mismatched positions. So standardization of messages for settlement and for many parts of the industry, both settlement, order processing, which we also facilitate in the funds industry, etc., is a highly valuable part of reducing operational cost and operational risk.
How much does this all cost hedge funds, and what are the potential advantages of using standardized messaging?
I've sort of indicated that where the costs arise. It's hard to put a number on the cost of mismatches resulting in exposure to market movements, clearly, and as much as anything else, there is a cost, but there is also uncertainty, and inability to know exactly what your positions are has its own ramifications. So that's that side. The operational cost side, there is a very real cost. Again, as we said before, repairing settlement fails is very expensive. As an example, our Record for Securities service, which I can describe in a second, which deals with the trades that a hedge fund does into the marketplace. Since that's been running, we have estimated that we've done approximately 4 million matches of trades, and what we have saved the prime broker community, and the top 6 or 7 prime brokers that are using that service, is in the order of about 20 million euros per annum of operational cost as a result of that service. So that operational cost, which we've saved the prime brokers, is effectively a cost that would eventually get passed on to a hedge fund. So there's some very significant cost savings that are possible from improved STP standardization around the settlement process for hedge funds.
What products is SWIFT offering to mitigate the risk of settlement fails?
So again, let's look at the two sides. If you look at the investors into hedge funds, into out of hedge funds, we have a suite of messages which have been agreed upon by the industry in an industry rulebook called SHARP, and that suite of messages allows inflows, outflows, adjustments, redemptions, etc. of hedge fund holdings, and that is principally for use by hedge fund administrators who will facilitate those movements. So that service is up and running. We have users using that service already, and we expect that to grow significantly as the hedge fund community wishes to make investment into and out of hedge funds that much easier for the investment community. So that's the SHARP suite of messages. The second thing that we have is for the trades that hedge funds do in the marketplace to make that much more efficient and risk-free, as we said. We have a matching service called Accord for Securities. And Accord for Securities is used by the prime brokers and the executing brokers who service the hedge fund trades. That service, again, is up and running. All the major prime brokers are using it, and increasing numbers of hedge funds are demanding that their prime brokers use that service. So we have approximately 150 hedge funds now registered with their prime brokers to use that particular service, but there is a lot more that can be done, and what we would encourage hedge funds is to talk to their prime brokers for the use of Accord for Securities, and indeed talk to their hedge fund administrators for the use of the Sharp suite of messages.